What's up guys, English Dan back with another video. So LG, they've just come out with the LG Velvet. What this is like a reboot for the company when it comes to branding. Gone is the G series and now we have the Velvet series. Question is it any good? So what is the LG Velvet? LG's Velvet is the new foray into the mobile world by LG. They've got rid of the tired G8 design that we've had over the last couple of years, the G8, G8X, G7, all very similar, very few changes, got really boring and stale after a little while. So what they've done, they've gone back to the drawing board and they've designed a phone that they're hoping stands out in a crowd of every other phone that's glass and metal slabs. And that's really hard to do nowadays. It's not something you can do very easily. But I think LG have done just enough to stand out from that crowd. I'll explain more now. So let's talk about the hardware first. Hardware on this device is a major change. I think LG have done quite well, like I was just saying, and I think they have succeeded in where they've wanted to differentiate themselves from everybody else. And that starts with the back on the LG Velvet. As you can see, I mean, this one's really shiny, but it's got that really nice like rainbow, but it's like a 3D effect that's in it. It's hard to get you to catch it on camera. It's really difficult to photograph this camera as well because it's so reflective. But yeah, biggest changes are on the back of this thing. It's a glass back, yep, no doubt about it, metal frame, but on this the actual glass back arcs around to the metal frame here. It just sort of melts. It's like an all-in-one. It's very, very nice the way it looks. And then they've gone ahead and, if you can see, they've gone with the raindrop, as they call it, the raindrop setup when it comes to the cameras, which is so refreshing because so far 2020 and a little bit before has been these big blocks that stand off the phone with just, they look garish. These don't. The only camera that protrudes slightly is the main sensor at the top, and it's only very slightly. I mean, if I hold the phone there, you can't even see it. It doesn't stick out that far at all. It's just, you can lay it on a table and you're not going to have any of this wobbling like you get with your newer phones, like your Galaxy Ultras and your iPhones, and you don't get any of that. Really nice design when it comes to the back of the Velvet. Really is distinctive, and you know that it's an LG Velvet when you're looking at it. Other changes around the front, you've got the teardrop notch. Let me just turn the brightness down a little bit on this thing so I don't blind you, because the screen does get quite bright. Teardrop notch on the front. I'll go to the home screen instead of my YouTube page, but yeah, it's got the teardrop on there, and then it also has very small bezels at the top and very small at the bottom. Not a problem, not an issue whatsoever, doesn't get in the way. And the screen also curves over on the sides to the metal that just matches the back. It's great. It's like one unit that arcs on the sides really well. And the good thing about this, I know a lot of people moan about curved displays, me especially, because I've got some fat hamburger paws, you know, I can't help it. And that real fleshy bit in my thumb there, on other curved screen devices, let's say, I get touches all the time, but not on this. It doesn't happen. I've not had one false touch on this. LG have done such a good job when it comes to the touch sensitivity on the curved part of the display. So it's a joy to use because even though it's a big phone, it's really lightweight and really easy to handle because the way they've built the phone. I think they're onto a winner here with this. I think the Velvet is one of the best looking phones right now. Talking of the screen's really good. It's a 6.8 inch AMOLED display. Looks really sharp. Colours are really nice and natural. They're not like overly vibrant or anything like that. They do look true to life kind of thing, which is nice for once because a lot of AMOLED phones, they like to punch that vibrancy out and everything just looks fake. I like that sometimes, but I think LG have done a really good job when it comes to the screen on this. It does have an inbuilt fingerprint sensor. It's an optical sensor and it does work pretty well. It's not failed on me or missed anything. It's not the quickest, but it's also not the slowest. It's just fine. It works just fine. There's no, which is weird, and it was the same on the V60, there's no facial recognition. What? I don't know. Maybe because it's so insecure, maybe, but it's not here, so you can't get the choice of using that. But anyway, back to this display. 6.8 inch AMOLED display, great colours, great viewing angles as you can see, and it doesn't shift colours either when you're viewing at different angles like a lot of cell phones. Some of the older LG panels, you'd get a blue tint as you turn the phone, and this you don't, so they've actually nailed the AMOLED screens down on these. I'm really impressed with it, considering as well that it's only a full HD display. And if one thing this year has taught me when it comes to lots of cell phones that have been releasing, full HD is perfectly fine on a cell phone. It really is. Even your Samsung devices that, they go on the best displays and blah blah blah. Most people who aren't techie like, a lot of us, don't even realise when they take that phone out of the box, it's on 1080p. They're using it on full HD. And they'll probably use it on full HD for the entire time they have the device. So yeah, full HD really isn't a problem. I do believe that Quad HD has been a little bit overhyped. Definitely overhyped. One thing I will say when it comes to the screen on this, it's called the LG Velvet. The LG Velvet doesn't have a high refresh rate screen, which isn't an issue as such. It's, because it's still a perfectly fine experience when you're using this thing. It's not slow, it's, it's fine. It's, see, everything opens, everything moves just fine. But being called the Velvet, it'd have been nice if they'd have gone that one step further and offered that buttery smooth experience with a higher refresh rate. Maybe next year on the next Velvet. They have changed a lot, so maybe next year. When you've got a good screen and you're watching media, if you're not using headphones, you're obviously going to be using the speakers. LG have hit a home run when it comes to the speakers on this device. Now, I'm not just saying this, these things are loud and clear, and they have some depth as well, which is crazy. Here, I'll let you have a sample. It's going to be nothing scientific, it's just me sat here with my microphone, so you're not really going to be able to tell. But it'd be nice to just try and get my point across a little better, because these are some of the best speakers that I've heard on a cell phone. Let's go to Bass Rebels. Bass Rebels is where I get a lot of my music from. So here's what the speakers sound like on this. Let me make sure I'm turned up. So this is turned up to 4. I'm going to forward it a bit. Pretty good. It's loud, it's clear, and for little speakers on a phone, they've got depth. It's just weird. That was BLGN featuring Mirex, and the song was called Stuck. It's on Bass Rebels right now. So it's one of their older tunes, but I really like that tune because they rap a bit at the beginning, they sing later on, and there's a lot of heavy dance music, and it's quite good to show off speakers. Not that that was anything scientific like I said, but still. Home run, LG. Some of the best speakers on any phone I have heard. And if the speakers aren't good enough for you, you've got a 3.5mm headphone jack. That's great, they've kept the headphone jack around. Even though this phone is so lightweight and they've slimmed the size of this phone down, they still have room for a headphone jack. Now, it doesn't have the quad DAC that the older LGs used to have, and I'll get more into why that possibly is missing. But for now, the sound out of the headphone jack is still really good. It's still exceptional and sounds a lot better than most other phones, other than the V60 and the V50. But for a DAC-less device, this sounds really good when it comes to using your wired headphones. So let's talk about the cameras on the LG Velvet. 48 megapixel main shooter, 8 megapixel wide angle, 5 megapixel depth sensor. They're all on the back. 48 megapixel main shooter can take some really good photos, like really good photos. Very sharp, lots of detail, really good HDR, very decently good photo. The ultra wide falls down a little bit because it's only 8 megapixels, so you don't get as much details and the pictures are softer, and when it comes to low light it tends to fall apart on the ultra wide. The 48 megapixel is the way to go with this. Problem with it is it's inconsistent. You can get a pixel-like quality. I'm hoping that it's something LG can fix with a software update. A lot of phones nowadays, when they come out, you get updates for the camera and they're tuning them all the time to make them better. This is a capable camera in here, the 48 megapixel camera. Hopefully they can make it more consistent. On the front of this thing, you get a 16 megapixel selfie shooter, much like the 48 megapixel on the back. Again, can take some like brilliant portrait photographs, almost pixel quality again. But then the problem is you'll go and take a second one and it won't be as good as the one you just took. One thing I will say about this though, and it's not very often this happens, when you've got a cluster of cameras, they all have different color profiles on a lot of phones. They're never really the same. They're very much alike on the Velvet, which is a good thing. So your photos all look like they should, like they've all come out the same device. So that is a bonus. How about performance on the LG Velvet? Well, let me tell you, this thing is slick and it's fast. I walk around with this every day. On my other phone is the LG V60. The LG V60 has an 865 in it. It's got the flagship processor. This has the 765G. People are going to be like, what? Why? Oh, yeah. Stop. Most people haven't used a 765 device here yet because there's not really anything been available until now. The Velvet's the first to really look at when it comes to performance here in the United States. Let me tell you, I cannot tell any difference between my Velvet and my V60. I would not know. If you gave me that and said, hey, it's an 865 in there, I'd believe you, because the experience is no different. Now, I know a lot of the bigger reviewers, they got a different kind of review unit that was from Korea. It was the overseas version, whereas the version we have got now is the AT&T version, and it's the US version, made for USA. The ones that come from overseas, they all said they had performance issues. Like they'd get hung up when it come to multitasking and things like that. I've not had that issue, and everybody I spoke to who also got the Velvet to review from when it got released in the US also haven't had that issue. I didn't hangs up, any lag, anything like that. It's totally smooth. I mean, I'll show you. They were complaining about the multitasking, and if I just bring up the multitasking, I mean, it flies through the menus, absolutely no problem, none whatsoever. So, Chrome, there's Chrome. Let's go to Twitter. There's my Twitter account. Flies through everything. It doesn't hang up whatsoever. So, reading those old reviews, don't worry about it. They must have done something with the software in between those being released in Korea and these coming out here in the United States. I haven't had any software updates to do, so they must have done it before they released them here, before they got packaged up. Something's different, definitely. No performance issues whatsoever. Plus, you still get 5G with it being the 765G. So that is another bonus when it comes to these 765s. It's not a separate modem either. It's built into the chip. With it being a 765, you also get really good battery life. It packs a 4300 milliamp hour battery. I get between 6 and 7 hours screen out time with this, which is perfectly fine for me. It's not top of the end, but it's more than enough. I can get home and I've probably got 30% left on this thing, which is nice. I'm not sat there sweating at the end of the day thinking, my phone needs charging. Really good battery life. The 765 seems to be a really, really good CPU when it comes to using these things. And I can understand why they're using them, because the 865 is so expensive from Qualcomm. The 765 makes a lot of sense because you can still play your games like Call of Duty on high, PUBG, things like that. It'll still play them no problem. You don't have to sacrifice much to play these things on the LG Velvet, but you get good battery life still, and you save money not wasting it on an 865. For me, Qualcomm's 865 this year, with that forced 5G extra modem that's not on there, causes a massive price increase. They've just failed a little bit this year with the 8 series. The 7 series for me is the way to go at the moment. Let's talk about software when it comes to the LG Velvet. We all know that software's been a bit of an issue with LG phones over years now. It's just been that way, cartoony, coloured icons, and very TouchWiz like the old Samsung. They seem to have dialed it back a bit, and it keeps getting better with every iteration. It was better on the V60, and it's better again on this, but they still do have the coloured icons, and they're very square and things like that. So luckily you can change the launcher, and I go with like a pretty much a pixel launcher on this, and with that it looks great. It looks fantastic. Get the base icons where they're all round. Put dark mode on it, looks fantastic. But some people like the LG skin and they like the brighter colours, and it's very smooth. And as you see in this video, I've not got my launcher on there that I use. I've been using it to show you what you're going to get, so you know what the experience is. And it's not bad. And the other bonus is they've actually used a lot more of Google's own apps instead of creating duplicates that aren't as good as what you can get from Google. So LG are going in the right direction. They just need to go a little bit more for me. One thing they do have in this, with it being the Velvet UI, it is very similar to the V60, but this is the Velvet UI, and it has a native screen recorder, and it has the 3D audio engine in here for the sound, which is why you get really good sound out of that headphone jack, even though it doesn't have a DAC. The other thing we get, just like the V60, on the right hand side of the device, under the volume buttons, we get the Google Assistant button. Tell me about Google Assistant.
I'm here to do cool tasks for you. They're kind of like tricks. Let me show you. Do you want me to help you pick something? Or should I just surprise you?
Surprise me.
Okay, here's one you may like. If something's stressing you out, say, play relaxation sounds, or maybe play forest sounds. Let me DJ your well-being. Okay, that's better. Try it when you need some soothing, and I hope you have a relaxing day. Would you like to learn about another trick?
No thanks, good night.
Okay, let me know if you ever want to hear more tricks.
And there you have it. They've gone with Google Assistant, which I'm so happy with, because their Korean counterpart, Samsung, decided that Google Assistant wasn't good enough for them, so they built this thing called Bixby. Bixby is a dumpster fire. It's trash. And I'm so happy LG haven't tried to build their own, and they've gone with what I consider the best assistant on any device. Thumbs up, LG. Thumbs up. Let's talk about accessories. Because you know there's accessories for the V60 and the G8X and the V50, and those accessories have come over to this. What am I talking about? I'm talking about LG's dual screen. So you can purchase a dual screen. Doesn't come with the device, it is a separate purchase, but just much like the V60, it works just the same, works exactly the same, no different. You can see it's on the camera on one. It'll open up there, and then I want the Play Store open on this screen. A lot of people say, oh, well, I don't understand the use, but there is a lot of use when it comes to using the dual screen. I can take a photograph, and I can, like in my job, I have to take a lot of measurements and notes, so I can take a photograph of wherever I'm at. It can be sat on this side of the screen here. I can then move over to this side of the screen, and because it's got pen input, yes, they've added pen input, I could use a Wacom bamboo stylus, and I can mark all my notes on this side, and then I can jump over and mark up my drawings. It's great. It makes life so much easier. You get real multitasking. And before people say, oh yeah, but the Galaxy Fold is a different device. This isn't trying to be the Galaxy Fold. This is trying to be the LG Velvet. And that's my cat. I do apologise. Listen to that. What a weirdo. Good job we're almost finished. I do apologise. Anyway, dual screen. It's not trying to be a fold. It's trying to be a dual screen and offer you true multitasking ability on a device that doesn't have to sacrifice screen quality. And by quality, I mean durability. Galaxy Fold uses Glastic, as they call it. It's still a plastic screen with little tiny glass shards in it. It still scratches easy. You can dent it with your fingernail. This thing is not that. It's two real screens that aren't going to be a problem. And you still get that satisfying, oh yeah, peace. So overall, I think LG got it right when it comes to the Velvet. I think they've changed enough to differentiate away itself from the G8 and have its own new line, and that's what they were trying to do. this reboot that LG have done, I think is going to work for them. I'm just hoping people give them a chance. The design of the phone is every bit as good as the $1,000 Samsung Galaxy S20. It feels just as premium as that device. It's extremely lightweight. The curved screen on it works better than what it did on any of the previous Samsung devices that had that much of a curve. Don't get phantom touches. You get really good battery life. It's got a really nice screen on it that's got some really good colours, good viewing angles. The speakers are fantastic. They're really loud and clear with depth, like I was saying before. And you're getting great battery life out of it. And then as a bonus again, you're getting a headphone jack. So for you guys who like your wired audio, you've got it here. Couple of things that I wish it did have. Like I said before, it's called the Velvet. Velvety smooth, give us a 90Hz screen. Maybe next time. You know, this is their first foray into rebooting the LG devices, so maybe next time. And also I wish it had the Quad Air DAC on there, the Quad HD DAC. I really do. But with the 3D sound engine that they've built into the new Velvet UI, it really does produce some really good audio still out of that headphone jack. So, not really a massive negative, but I would still like that DAC in there because I like audio. Because as you know, if you've been watching my channel, I review a lot of headphones and earbuds. But yeah. So, is that enough to ruin it? No. Those two things are not a game changer, like I said before. The screen, while it'd be nice to be higher on the refresh rate, it's still really smooth. I mean, like I've shown you before, it's not, it doesn't stutter or lag or anything like that. It's totally fast. Totally quick. It's not an issue. Sorry, I've got the wrong launcher on, so I'm not used to swiping the ways this one that does, but yeah, it's no problem whatsoever. It's not a slow device at all. So the 60Hz screen really isn't a problem. I just would have liked something a little faster. And the DAC, like I say, isn't an issue. And the reason I think they don't put the DAC in there is because I haven't mentioned this yet, but the price on this is $599, and I think LG have nailed it at the price there. At $599, this is the best looking device you can get at under $600. It really is. The design of it, the raindrop camera setup, it's unique in its own way. The finish on the thing is great. The build quality is extremely premium. It's super smooth. It's worth it all day long. I'm just hoping you guys who are out looking for a new cell phone actually give it a chance. Don't walk past it. Have a good look at it. Have a mess around and have a play with the LG Velvet. I think you'll really enjoy it. Anyway, guys, that's English Dan. That was the LG Velvet. I'll be back with more videos involving the LG Velvet. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.